Okay, welcome to our bike commuting class, getting you to wherever you need to go. We're offering it at Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition, and it is courtesy of VTA and 2016 Measure B. They're paying for these classes to happen. So thank you, VTA, and thank you, Measure B. Okay, so with Zoom, if you can put your city, just so I know where you're from and everyone can see where each other's from, that's helpful. I'm in Sunnyvale. But Silicon Valley, I go everywhere on my bike. If you want to, you can put your pronouns in too. While we're doing this presentation, you can put questions in the chat or raise your hand. We'll take questions at the end also, but we can ask questions along the way. I'll try to pay attention to people making comments in the chat. So Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition I know Lenny's a member. Well, she's our staff. Anna and Himani, are you members yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh, you got to join. Because we rely on our members. It's all about people and places. So your people. So we offer education, rides, events, and we encourage people to become advocates so that they can help us make it a better world for everyone to bike in. And that better world is places. We need better bike lanes, better roads, like overpasses that are difficult for bikes to get over. We need to make them friendly for bikes so people aren't threatened by them. It's not scary if we've got a nice, safe place to be going on the road overpass. So trails and bike parking, you need a safe spot to put your bike at the other end so that your bike doesn't get stolen. So we're about people and places. That's our mission, to build better, healthier, and more just communities by making bicycling safe and accessible for everyone. So do join us, make a donation, volunteer, whatever. Okay, I've got a poll. Oops, where'd my polls go? Hello, polls, where'd you go? I have to look for them when I'm sharing my screen here. Oh, there they are. I've got a poll I just started. So let me launch this poll. Go ahead and answer this poll. Are you a new commuter, moderate, or seasoned? Okay, I got one more person needs to answer. There we go. Okay, so we got 2 new and 1 seasoned. And I can guess who this. Eleni should be the seasoned commuter. She's our staff at LCI. Thank you for being here, the two of you. Yeah, biking is so much fun and you get so much accomplished. Like back to the chat with the Why to Bike, you save about $1 million if you forego a car and use a bike instead over your lifetime if you choose to bike. And you solve climate change at the same time, and you're healthier for your physical health and your healthier mental health. Biking, and it doesn't kill other people. Like cars kill 40,000 people a year. It's just amazing. So yeah, you just do so many beneficial things for your neighbors, for everyone when you bike commute. When I ride my bike to work, which actually I have to admit, we are with our jobs that we have at SVBC, we're working from home quite a bit, but we do go out and go to work sometimes too. When I bike, I have a 12-mile commute each way to get to work, and I'll say hi to probably a dozen people each way along the way. And so some of the people, like crossing guards, have gotten to know me. I work with them. So it's just fun. And there's a retirement community, the people out there on the curb sunning themselves. I get to know them too. So yeah, it's well worth getting to keep ride your bike everywhere. So during this webinar, we'll talk about getting your bike ready, what to pack, what to bring, some route planning, talk about bikes on transit. So you're prepared to take your bike on transit if you haven't done that before. I'll talk about parking and security. And again, Q&A in this case, put it in the chat, raise your hand, and we'll also do it at the end. First off, getting your bike ready. So what kind of riding do you like to do, and do you have to do, and do you want to do? So some people like just wear standard business clothes like this guy is on this black bike here. It's kind of a Dutch style bike. He's got his overcoat on, he's got his backpack on. Probably doesn't have that far to go to bike, or he doesn't have to go necessarily that fast and get hot and sweaty. So you can just wear everyday clothes. Versus actually me, when I'm biking, I don't have the Scott kind of bike. I've got a more of a black kind of bike that has a lot of things on it. But I generally wear biking clothing in my case, because I'm going 12 miles each way. I'm going to get hot and sweaty, and the overcoat, it just be messy. And also I like colors. I like wearing bright color clothing. So I've got a lighter bike. Well, I have a touring bike. Actually, I loaded down a lot of gear, which I'm not sure of a picture here, but at any rate. So if you're with your bike, you need to make sure it fits properly. So we're going to do a little video here about getting your bike, making sure it fits.
It's important to make sure your bike fits you properly. While your seat can be adjusted, frames have fixed dimensions, so be sure to find the right size frame for you. If the frame has a full top tube, straddle the bike and stand in front of the seat. If it is a road bike, there should be 1 to 2 inches of clearance between you and the bike. For a mountain or hybrid bike, there should be 3 to 4 inches. For step-through bikes, or bikes with a slanting top tube, test the frame by pushing one pedal all the way down while sitting on the seat. Your knee should have a slight bend in it. The seat post can be adjusted, but should be in the middle of the range, not fully extended or touching the frame. Regardless of your frame size, this test will also make sure your seat is at the right height for a comfortable ride. Tip: mark your seat height with a permanent marker, so if someone borrows your bike, you can easily move your seat post back to your ideal position.
Okay. And seat height for commuter is really important because you want to actually use your power very efficiently. So getting your seat at the right height is important. So do the two of you, do you believe you have your seat at the right height? Can you mostly get your leg fully straight? You don't know? Well, one quick tip is when you're sitting in the seat, if someone hold the bike or if you're against a wall, like hold it. When you're sitting in the seat, you should get your leg fully straight when your heel is on your pedal. So that when you put the ball of the foot on the pedal, you'll have just a slight bend in the knee. And that's the most efficient distance for you to make sure you get all the power when you're biking and not wasting power. Because if the seat's too low, then your leg's very bent. It's kind of like walking with your legs bent all the time. You know, people mostly walk with the legs straight. But you also don't want it too stretched out because then you're actually rocking your hips and you're extending your leg beyond where it's most powerful. So you don't want it too high either.
When either of you are riding, have you ever been on a bike that felt uncomfortable?
Can't tell, actually. I'm like so very new to riding bikes in general, and I was like, okay, I really want to like commit to this, so I'm taking this class, but I can't tell like what height to get on my seat and like what to do because I have like super long legs, and I'm just like, how do I figure out like what size bike I need to get, type of thing.
Also, if you don't have a bike, go to a bike shop. They will help you pick the right size bike. And if you want to, like for this presentation, this is all lecture style. If you actually want to get experience riding the bike, come to our Smart Cycling Part 1 and Part 2 classes. Part 2, you can take like online like this, or there's a self-guided instruction you can take also. For the Part 2, we do all the riding with you.
Yeah, and Part 1 is virtual and Part 2 is the in-person.
In-person, on bike, which is where you really learn.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, with fit, so there's standover height to make sure you don't hurt yourself just getting on and off the bike. Make sure the seat post is the right height. Make sure the seat's actually adjusted forward and back to make sure your body's not too stretched out. There's a lot of dimensions and a lot of things that can be adjusted in the bike. And we're adjusting all the points of contact, where your handlebars are, where the seat is, where the pedals are. And if something's not comfortable, you can swap it out. And a bike shop can also help you with that. Okay, now before we go on our ride, we need to make sure our bike is safe. And there's a little quick ABC quick check, which we'll learn here.
There's an easy way to make sure your bike is in good working order: the basic bike check. To check the air, push on the tires to see that they are properly inflated. They should feel hard to the touch. If they give, they need to be refilled. When pumping up your tires, the air pressure should match the number written on the tire. While you are inflating your tires, check them over for bald spots, damage, or loose threads. If you see any of these, it's time to get a new tire. For brakes, there are 2 things to check. First, look at the brake pads and ensure they are not worn out. When they have worn thin, they need to be replaced. Next, squeeze your brake levers firmly. There should be a thumb's width gap between the lever and the handlebars. If this gap is too small, the brakes need to be adjusted. You want your chain and gears to be running smoothly. Turn the pedals backward to test the movement and ensure that it's clean and not squeaky. Periodically, check that the cranks are not loose. If they are, tighten the bolt. If your bike has quick release wheels or a seat post, check and make sure they are firmly closed. Before heading out, take a brief slow ride to check that your bike is working properly. If something does not look or feel right, be sure to have your bike looked at by a mechanic.
If that was a ABC quick check, and that's a good thing to do before every ride you do. Had you ever seen that before, Anna or Himani? No, first time? Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, A is for air, to squeeze the tires. B is for brakes, to make sure they're working. And you want to make sure that the brake levers do not hit the handlebars. That's the most common thing we run into. So when the brakes get squeezed and they hit the handlebars, then they stop working, which is not good because you can't squeeze them anymore. C is for chain, make sure it's clean. A quick release, if you have quick releases that allow your wheels to come off or your seat to go up and down faster, make sure they're closed properly. And then check is just doing a slow, quick ride before you go on a longer ride. If you want to learn how to maintain your bike, we have bike maintenance classes also. So go to bikesiliconvalley.org/ed for education page, and you can sign up for an in-person bike maintenance class and have your bike there, and it can be checked over, and you can learn how to fix things if you don't know how to fix things, which is really important for a commuter, because if something breaks, you need to fix it to make sure you get to where you need to go rather than having to haul it off to a bike shop all the time.
Hey, Tim,
Yes.
can I ask a question? Like, I'm a student, because you never really stop being a student. Does one really ever stop? Anyways.
Yeah. The end of being a instructor and student. No, it never stops. We're always learning.
But my question is, I used to have a bike that the brakes, when I pulled them, they didn't snap like back into place. The lever just stayed. And do you know what that could be?
Yes. Well, there's two possible reasons. One, the spring in your brake levers is getting worn out, or rather than the brake also, the brake rather is getting worn out, or the more likely cause is a gummy cable, which you need to take the cables out and relubricate them, or possibly get new cable housing or new cables, because there's friction. It should snap back. It should be really smooth action. So either the spring is worn out in the braking system, which would be on the brake, possible, but more often it's actually a cable that just needs lubing. So you strip it out and then, relubricate it, clean it up.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so what to pack? So this is actually my little commute bag toolkit here. It's not quite everything in it, but most of it. So I've got a little mini pump that I carry with me. It's my little tool bag here. I've got a water bottle to hydrate me. That's not in the tool bag. It's just on my bike. I've got a multi-tool with like Allen wrenches and other little pieces of things. I've got an adjustable wrench. There's all these bolts, and on my bike, I don't need an adjustable wrench that much, but other people's bikes I'm often fixing. I'll need an adjustable wrench because they've got bolts on it. I've got a patch kit in there, which has the glue and patches here and a little piece of sandpaper in this little box here. I've got tire levers. That's very important. So you can take the tire on and off. So Anna and Himani, have you changed a tire?
Yes.
Okay, Anna has, Himani hasn't. That's worth learning. You should definitely take our bike repair class. We'll teach you how to take the tire on and off. That's like one of the most fundamental things. You will get a flat at some point, and it's something that you need to fix. That's how you can finish getting where you're going. And the easiest thing is having tire levers and an extra tube. That's the fastest way. But you still want to make sure that whatever punctured your tire is not still in your tire. So you put the new tube in and you get a flat immediately again. So you just learn about that. So that's a separate course. But then if you don't have a tube, you can actually fix your tire, in the field and keep riding. Although I typically fix my tires at home because I have more time and it's drier, cleaner, and I can make sure I get a really good fix. But I have fixed them on the road a lot too. And replacing a tube should only take a few minutes. But actually, when I am in college, I got really fast at doing this, and I was able to actually take a tire off, patch it, and put it back in about 3 minutes. So,
For comparison, it's never taken me less than half an hour. I'm doing great if I'm getting it done in half an hour.
yeah. Okay, some other things to think about: gloves and padded shorts. So if you go short distance, don't need padded shorts. But when I wear my jeans, my blue jeans, my jeans are the soft cotton material, they tend to wear through. So I'm riding 12 miles each way, it's 24 miles a day. I need padded shorts. It's more comfortable and they don't wear out. Otherwise, I'm constantly patching my jeans. I'm a big fan of biking gloves because every now and then you'll take a little spill, and having the gloves there, you just put your hand down on the pavement and you don't worry about road rash. If you're not wearing gloves, I have gotten road rash in my hands, which as soon as I did that, I said, okay, I'm wearing gloves from now on and I'm not forgetting ever again. It just happens. Visibility, you need sunglasses so you don't get blinded by the sun. Having a mirror is really helpful. I actually have a mirror on my helmet, which is not pictured here. Here's a mirror in the handlebars. So you need to see and be seen. So having reflective straps, having lights, which will be going over lights and reflective vest shortly. I wear a reflective vest every time I go biking for commuting purposes and for transportation, because regardless of what I'm wearing, whatever kind of clothing I'm wearing, I pop that on, I'm very visible. And then I can take it off wherever I'm getting, wherever I go. And you have to think about carrying capacity. What can you carry on your bike? So you have a briefcase, you have a computer, you've got your lunch, you've got, in my case, if I need to change at work, I carry a spare set of clothes. I'm in biking clothes, I'll change out of those that are sweaty. They dry off my bike, and I change into cleaner, less smelly clothes during work, and then I switch back for my long commute back. Luckily, I work with the Bike Coalition, so they don't mind if I'm smelly all day long, right, Eleni? I'm in my bike clothes.
Yeah,
Or-
no one ever minds.
Yeah. So yeah, depending on, how much you sweat and your sensitivities of your environment, yeah, you can determine what you need to carry with you. And so here's some examples. You have some people carrying dogs, one in a backpack, one in a crate up front. You got baskets in the front, you got racks in the back. I don't recommend carrying stuff and holding onto it on the handlebars, because the stuff will swing into the wheel and it can cause problems. So carry it someplace else that's secure. And I'm also not a fan of having stuff on my body, because I sweat a lot and my back gets really hot. So I like having things just on my bike.
Mhm.
So yeah, is it on your bike, on the rack or basket, or it's on your body? So different strategies depending on your setup. Like if you're a student, having your books in your backpack, then you just ride your bike up, you lock it quickly, and you run into class, and everything's in your back. But if it's on your bike, then you've got to unmount it from your bike, or disconnect it or unload it. So different styles for different folks. I really should need to include my commuting bike in this presentation. I don't think I've got it in this one. I've got it in some others. I use my bike as my shopping cart inside of stores, so my bike doesn't stay outside; it rolls inside with me, and I roll it out. So you've got rear racks, you've got front racks. I've got both of these on my main bike that I use to commute with. And the front racks are great for also putting lights on.
Sometimes the front rack can preclude it from being mounted on the bus, though. Like the bus arm can't clear the rack.
Yeah, especially this kind of wide rack, that could be a problem. I checked actually the racks I've got on my bike, and they actually worked okay with the bus. I tried mounting it.
Nice.
It.
Would either of you have to be like carrying stuff for work? Is this part relevant, or do you have any other questions?
Oh yeah, actually, so I know where you're going. You're going to Vegelution, which is pretty straightforward. Himani, where do you need to go? Where do you work?
Not yet. I just graduated. So I'm like, okay, it would be amazing if I could learn this before I have to go anywhere. But I'm thinking I would probably go to the Caltrain station near me.
And what kind of work are you looking for?
I'm looking for like research positions around the Bay. So
What kind of research position?
So I've been applying at like universities. I'm a stats major, so I wanted to do like research data analysis at different like places.
Eleni can guess where I'm going. We're hiring.
Oh, that's where you were going. Got it. I was like, why are you killing this girl, Tim?
Work for us. And then you can ride your bike to work. We can talk more about that afterward.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Okay.
And I was also saying she's gonna bike to the Gilroy train station. So you guys have a little bike pool set up right here.
That'd be so cute.
Yeah,
honestly, it would be. You're both down in Gilroy. Awesome. Okay, so carrying things. So there are these side bags called panniers, which is pronounced panniers, like even though it's spelled P-A-N-N-I-E-R-S, it's a French word. They're like saddlebags. They attach on the front or rear racks as saddlebags. So these are open panniers on the back here, and he's also got a rack trunk. So on my bike, actually, I've got these open metal panniers on both sides that I can just load groceries into, which I like. They're heavier, the cloth is lighter, but the metal's super durable. I had mine for like 25 years before they finally broke because of overuse. They were just breaking, so I just got some new ones. And then whether it's hot or whether it's cold will depend what kind of clothing you wear. So during hot weather, quick dry synthetics are best to wear and have some cold water. I use this bandana as a sweatband and as my napkin and as my handkerchief. I use a bandana for everything. The sweat is okay. Sweat's good. It shows you're getting exercise. In cold weather, though, sweat's kind of uncomfortable. So you have to make sure you want to stay dry and warm and protect your hands and feet so you can start wearing more clothing, put coats on, thicker pants, gloves to protect your hands, windbreaker. In the cold weather, you do layers. We actually have a special another course called winter biking, how to stay warm, dry, and visible. That goes into more depth about what to wear in the different conditions during the winter. But basically layers, and synthetics dry faster. Even unless I'm allergic to wool. Wool is a great fabric though. If you're okay with wool, wool's awesome.
Hey, Tim, I didn't know you're allergic to wool. Also, I gotta go, guys.
Bye, Eleni.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of the present. To ask Tim all your questions. Speak up if you guys have questions.
Bye, Lenny.
Okay.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, so in wet weather, there's a few different strategies to keep the rain off. I'm a big fan of these bicycling rain ponchos, which here looks a little loose, but I wear a rain poncho and actually it fits over me like a little awning, a cape, like a fairing actually. It's pretty streamlined. And the reason I like it is it keeps the rain off from the top and it keeps rain off everything underneath it also. And I've got good air circulation underneath, which I was on biking long distance. I need a lot of air circulating. If I wear a rain jacket and rain pants, which keeps the outside water off of me, my inside water soaks me. I'm not sweating too much. Also, waterproof bags are important to keep your gears dry. Fenders are critical. So this little bike has fenders. I've got fenders on my main bike. Because if your wheels pick up water and throw it at the bike and throw it at you, and you end up with a stripe up your back if you don't have fenders. So there's a little bit of extra air resistance, but I greatly appreciate keeping me and my bike cleaner and more comfortable. So I just have fenders on all of my standard bikes, pretty much all my bikes.
They're like collapsible fenders. So it's like collapsible fender on the back. So do you know those like snap bracelets from like the 90s that you like snap onto your wrist? It's essentially just like that, and you roll it out and click it and it like stays put and in place, and then you can roll it in and it like unclicks and like will roll up into a little coil. So it's super, and I got it because when I was biking in college, I remember like having that stripe all the way up my back and I was like, nope, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. Also bike lights. We'll get more to bike lights. Okay. Speak of bike lights. So at night, you're required to have a white front light that you can, both people can see you and you can see the road. That's important. And a red rear reflector. Now, I highly recommend actually getting a red rear light, but you have to have at least a red rear reflector and a white headlight. You also need side reflectors on your wheels, either on the spokes or the sidewall of the tire could be reflectorized. Either one is fine. Pedal reflectors also, that motion helps people see you. Yeah, so highly recommend red rear lights. And if you can just decorate your bike more, and it's fun to have a lot of lights at night. And you can then go on to a San Jose bike party with your lighted bike and have a great time, a dance party on wheels. And people light up their bikes, and it's just a great, fun experience. See, Anna, you've been on a bike party?
Yes, I love bike party. We go with our uncle as often as we can, and we're actually going to the one in April in a couple weeks. So very excited.
Yep. So maybe Himani can join you.
Yeah, if you want to, it's super fun.
I've never even heard of it, but it sounds really fun. I've just wrote it down in my notes.
Yeah.
So reflectors are great because they don't need to be recharged, always there. But then you can't see things with them. But you can be seen far away because a car headlight sees you and reflects. But having lights makes you visible from more angles, and they're effective also during the day as well as night. I actually have daytime flashing lights that I have because I'm just on my bike going everywhere instead of driving a car. I have those extra flashlights during the day. And I highly recommend actually a reflective vest. So you see here, size matters. Having a reflective vest really makes you pop at night. And you can just quickly, they're really cheap from Amazon, like $5-6 or maybe $10 at most. You can just throw it on over whatever clothing you wear. I really cringe when I see a bicyclist, which is all in fashionable black. Their bike is black, their clothing is black. They blend into the asphalt. And then cars, you just sort of disappear. And you want to make sure a car doesn't hit you. And they won't hit you on purpose generally, but they will hit you if they can't see you. So I like colorful clothing, and I just pop a reflective vest on. So I'm very visible night or day. Something else to pack. When you get to where you're going, you most likely need to lock your bike. Now, my actually favorite method is I just bring my bike in with me. So I work at the Bike Coalition. It's just next to my desk. When I worked at the public health department, it was next to my desk. In my high-tech place where I worked, I could roll it inside. They had nice indoor parking that was not too far from my desk. But you can't always do that. So you need a lock, and you need to know how to use it. Cable locks are lightweight and cheap, but they're easy to cut. Chain padlocks are heavier and more flexible, but they're heavier. U-locks are extremely strong, but they're not quite as flexible as chain locks. So even though they're more secure generally, you have to take more practice using them. And sometimes you use, in fact, I use a U-lock with a cable lock, a U-lock for the main part of the bike, and then a cable lock just to make sure one of my wheels doesn't go missing. You can also get locking skewers for your bike so that things can't be taken off of it. So you don't have to worry about unlocking an extra wheel. And one of my friends gave me this kind of a weird thing. It's this thing called hex locks. There's like these little special things you put inside of Allen wrench holes on your bike so that people can't unscrew stuff. But you have to use a really special tool to be able to take the little thing out so you can actually use an Allen wrench to unscrew your seats. Or they're strangely expensive, this hex locks thing. It's like 40 or 50 bucks, but that's still cheaper than like losing a major part of your bike that might be $100 to $200. So lots of security things. A bike link card. I actually carry two because I often pull a trailer. So I've got the bike link is we got a new person joining us. Hey, Robert. They're bicycle lockers. So you can roll your whole bike inside. So you don't have to take everything off of your bike. You don't have to lock it. You just roll inside. Then you take the card out and it locks down and no one else but you can unlock it. And bike links, we'll go over the lockers later. They're at all Caltrain stations and BART stations if you need to leave your bike there. But in Caltrain and BART, you can also take your bike on the train with you. You don't necessarily need to leave it at the station. But if you do, I love bike link lockers. They work really well. We'll get more to those later. What else to pack? Bike helmet. And when you have a helmet, you want to make sure it is level on your head so it protects the front and the back of your head. So level with the brow. The straps form a little Y under your ear. And then underneath the chin, you want to be it's snug, but not too snug. So there's like this 2-finger test. You just make sure you can get 2 fingers under the strap, but not like your whole hand, so that the strap is tight enough so the helmet doesn't come flying off. Now, route planning. It's very important to know how you're getting from point A to point B. VTA has some great bike maps for Santa Clara County that show the best places to bike, which is really helpful to get just a big overview. And it's something that those bike maps are still very much appreciated by bicyclists because on the screen, you can't take the screen with you. On your phone, the map's really small, and it's just really nice to spread it out and say, where am I going? How am I getting there? Just to see a sense of the route. So you can, on our website, go to bikesiliconvalley.org/maps, check out our maps there. And you can go to one of our events and get a paper VTA map. In fact, if you pledge to ride for Bike Tour Every Day, go to an Energizer station, they should be giving out maps there, and you can pick up one of our maps. Google Maps is pretty good, though, overall, for picking bike directions. Not perfect, but it's pretty good. And it's one of the tools I use on a regular basis. So you can put in your destination and say, I want the biking directions. And it does a pretty good job. Let's see. And as far as route planning goes, it's really nice when you've got a bike lane going the direction you want to go so that you have your own space on the road. And this particular bike lane here on the left is well designed, well clear the car door here, and it's got nice clear space here. This bike lane has a buffer on it to keep cars away on that side, and there's no one parked on the other side. So these are two great examples of bike lanes that you can use. And it's nice to have your own space in the road that you don't have to compete with cars on. Sometimes they're green, so they change color, but they still work the same. And sometimes you've got these protected bike lanes. And here's a 2-way bike lane where they've got this these curbs here to keep cars away. So there's bikes going both directions, this one. And here they've got parking protected. So there's people parked here, which they have in downtown San Jose. They've got some of these showing up. This particular one's really nice because it's nice and wide, this one on the left, because 2 cyclists can ride side by side. I really like riding with other people, and I'm really actually annoyed at bike lanes being super narrow where it's like single file. If people in their cars had to be single file inside the car, they'd feel what bicyclists are being forced to do. But these protected bike lanes or bikeways are really nice and much more welcoming. And San Jose is doing actually a pretty good job of getting more of them. Now, sometimes there are no bike lanes, and they'll put sharrows on the road to remind motorists that bikes can be in the middle of the lane when it's streets are too narrow for bike lanes. Also, staying in the middle lane keeps you clear of car doors that can be popping out. Now, when you're riding on the road, you need to follow all the normal rules like a car. Just pretend you're a car and you're generally very safe. I'll stress again, take our Smart Cycling Part 1 and Part 2 class. We'll go much more into depth about how to take the lane and be a car and then practice it so you get more comfortable with it. Because when you haven't done it before, talking about it's one thing. Doing it, really, you get the sense of what's actually happening. So yeah, take our Smart Cycling course. Sharrows can be painted green too. This increases their visibility, but not their function. The function is just to remind bicyclists, yes, you can be in the lane, which you can be in the lane even if you don't have the sharrows, by the way. But it's also a reminder to car drivers that yes, bicycles, it's okay for them to be in the lane, even though they can be in the lane if they need to, regardless, but it's a extra reminder. Sometimes the sharrows are also used as direction wayfinding. Through San Jose, the sharrow will actually turn direction to remind you, oh, the bike route, the best place to go is going one direction or another, so you can sort of follow them. Here, there is no bike lane, but this is almost like 2 lanes here. And also this particular picture, they actually have this little painted line to show you where the door zone is, which is super helpful. You want to stay out of a door zone. So here, this red door zone, stay at least 5 feet away from parked cars, because doors, you never know when they'll pop open. Car doors usually won't go any further than 4 feet from the door, but an extra foot for startle distance is important. So you don't, so the door pops open, you suddenly swerve to the left and get hit by a car. You want to maintain and ride in a straight line as much as possible. And then you've got clearance here, the car can go past you, and then you've got a virtual bike lane. Now here they could have actually painted the bike lane, they've got so much space. But when you're super wide roads like this, just imagine the bike lane there and ride in it. Now, when it's not this wide, then you need to be actually in the middle of the main car lane to share the road properly, so that the cars have to cross over into the other lane to pass you. So here's a super wide, which is like 15 feet or more lane or wide lane to share. When it's not shareable under 14 feet, then you need to be front to back sharing the road. So you'll be like, pretend you're a car and you'll be much safer. So in most travel lanes are not shareable side by side. Most of them, you have to ride front to back. Now, when you're planning a route, you will hit traffic lights, and getting stuck behind a traffic light is kind of a bummer if you don't know how to set it off. So Anna, do you know how to trigger a traffic light?
No, I didn't.
Okay. This is really important because you don't want to be sitting behind a traffic light saying, okay, so why isn't it picking me up? I'm here waiting for you and I'm being a good cyclist, not buzzing through a red light. You'll see these bike markers at well-designed intersections. And these are an indication that you should put your wheels, like this is the front of my wheels, my commuting bike, right on top of those lines. And the reason for doing that is you see these little etch marks, a little hard to see here, but there's a loop detector, a magnetic loop detector inside, or it buries a wire in the pavement. They've cut the pavement and they've embedded it in the pavement, and it's picking up metal. So it's not picking up, it's like when I say it's electromagnetic, it does, you don't have to have a steel bike, you don't have to have magnets on your bike, which some people do, it's like crazy. Now, all it has to be is metal. It's the metal in your wheels typically is picking up. And it's looking for, it's inducing a current because it's pulsing a little electricity through and saying, hey, any metal out there? Just like you would a metal detector, they're searching for rings and things on beaches, but it's picking up your bike. Now, cars are huge amounts of metal, so they're easy to pick up. Bikes are a very small amount of metal, so you have to be at the most sensitive spot. When you see these symbols, they've been placed there to be at the most sensitive part of that metal detector. Here is an example of where there is no symbol, but you see this, this is what you'll see quite often at a traffic signal, is you'll see these little cuts in the road if you look down at the ground. Cars ignore this. They I have no idea what that is. Bicyclists, you start paying attention to these things because when you see this, you can know where to be to set the metal detector off. Here are the 4 most common designs used in our area. You've got the plain rectangle, which we just saw. In this case, the most sensitive place to place your bike wheels is right over the outside edges in the direction you're going. That will generally set this detector off. Now, this particular design is the least sensitive. It's the hardest to set off. This next design here with two parallel rectangles next to each other is much more sensitive than this other one. And the best place to be for this one is right in the middle on top of that line. Circles actually are moderately sensitive, and the best place to be is actually on the outside edges again, like the rectangle. The most sensitive design, which you'll typically see you'll see actually maybe a couple of these rectangles heading up to a stoplight. And then at the stoplight, they'll typically have this. And this is meant to pick up motorcyclists as well as bicycles, which have less metal, although motorcycles still are a ton of metal compared to a bicycle. So the most sensitive location for this, called the double D or diagonal Ds, is actually right in the middle. You'll end up with one wheel right on top of this line up here and one wheel down here. And that will, usually these are pretty reliable at picking up a bicycle. And if it doesn't pick up your bicycle and you're sitting there and the other traffic is in other directions going, but you're stuck and not going, report it to the city. Let them know that it's not working in whatever city you're in. Just call them up, say, hey, I waited at the light forever. Because at some point you'll have to run the light, like otherwise you're stuck, or you wait for a car to show up. Okay, route planning. Looking for paths and trails is always fun. Says paths and trails, other bicyclists and pedestrians, they're all friendly. You can talk to them. No one's going to run you over. But when you're on a path or a trail, you are basically the motor vehicle. And so you need to be considerate for all of the pedestrians. They should have the right of way. And you want to use your bike bell to tell them you're coming through, or just say on your left, so that they know that you're coming and that you don't surprise them. Use your bike bell. Okay, next up, we've got making a left turn, which is a challenge for a lot of people on a bike. And there are a couple of different styles. So let's watch this little video. So here she's signaling. She's on the left side. Whoops. Here's a standard left, making a left turn like that, just like a car. And this other one's called the Copenhagen left or box turn, where she goes across the intersection. She stops at this other corner, waits there then for the light to turn in the other direction, and then she goes in the new direction, making a left turn. That's sort of a two-part turn. I use both of these techniques myself on my commute to work, depending on the situation with the lights going up ahead. One of my left turns I need to make, I have to cross 4 fast-moving lanes of traffic to get to the left turn lane, which is hard. Sometimes I can do it, but sometimes like the car's doing 50 miles an hour and I just don't do it. So I just make a box turn. I go up to the other side of the intersection, wait for light turn, and go in the direction I need to go. Let's see. Oh, here's another video showing a multi-stage.
A cyclist intending to turn left must first merge over one lane at a time. Each movement requires a look back to see that there is no traffic or that someone is letting the rider into line. Cyclists preparing for a left turn may be in the middle of the road for a considerable distance.
So I've got a few of these roads on my commute, and one of them I've got 4 lanes of traffic to cross. So I'm doing 4 merges across and to get to that left turn lane. And so here's a summary again, a recap of options. So one option with a purple line here is you can just signal and go across each of the lanes to get the left turn lane like a car would. Or you can do the box turn, which you go straight across, wait here at this corner, and then go the other direction. Now this is showing that sometimes some cities have turn boxes. They're painted green. They show you the waiting area that you can stay safely and wait until the light turns in the other direction. If there is no such waiting area, you can use a crosswalk as a virtual space to wait until the light turns. And just position yourself where you're not in the way of traffic going through this intersection, or bike path here, or the bike lane here. So you need to be off to the side, but then I often position myself in front of the traffic that's coming from the other right turn or the right angle. So they see me and say, hey, they're ahead of me, and let me go through the intersection first. So bike boxes are another way that can help people make left turns. So there's a picture down here and there's an overview here. So you can come up in the bike lane and then sort of scoot yourself to the left. And the car is supposed to wait behind the stop bar behind you, so all the bicycles can pile up in the front. The one caution to this particular design is that know the length of time and the pattern of the light that you're hitting, because you don't want to actually be scooching yourself sideways just as that light is turning and the car is hitting the gas pedal and wanting to accelerate through it. So this can be a little bit mixed. Just have to be cautious about moving sideways in that bike box. But it does help you get ahead of all the cars so you can get through the lane first where they can see you because you're right in front of them. Also, protected intersections are coming. We have a few in San Jose, more of them are coming. Davis actually has a bunch of protected intersections so that every bicyclists and pedestrians have their own cycle time where they don't have to worry about cross traffic. They can go through the intersection without the cars colliding with them. And the cars have their own phase. This is more of a Dutch style or European style design they use in Denmark and other countries as well. Okay, bikes on transit. You go to bikecyclingvalley.org/biking duty round. Actually, I think this URL may have changed a little bit, but you go to our website and you'll see some instructions on getting using transit. For buses, for standard frame bikes, there are actually 4 racks now in front of VTA buses. So you can put your bike on the front. You also ask the driver to kneel the bus to get it down lower in case you have trouble getting your bike on and off. Make sure you take everything off your bike in advance to get it on the bus. There'll be some videos on how to put your bike on a bus coming out soon. We did the script for it, and they should be producing it and releasing it soon for VTA. Another option is if you have a folding bike, which I've got a couple of folding bikes. Those are really handy because you can just fold them up and carry them on like a piece of luggage. That way you don't have to leave your bike in front of the bus. Just take it on the bike on the bus with you. So here's some pictures of people loading their bikes up on racks in front of buses. Need to update those because the rack style has changed. On trains, you can also take your bike on the train. BART and Amtrak and Caltrain all have places to put your bike. For BART, you can put your bike on any car except the first car. Just roll it on, there's bike spaces available, and also level. You just roll it on and roll it off. It's really nice and BART, easy. On Caltrain, you've got these steep steps. Often you have to carry your bike up and down, which is kind of a pain. And you also have to look for the bike car for where the bikes are. You can't lock your bike in that case either. Amtrak has some hanging bike racks and they have bike cars, and actually it varies depending on what Amtrak train you're taking. On ferries, they're also usually bike racks. You can roll your bike on board and just look for the bike racks and leave your bike there. And then you can lock your bike in this case because you're away from your bike. Okay, parking and security. So we don't want you left with bikes like these where people didn't lock all the parts, or they locked, people stripped things away, which is why actually I like, which we'll get to in a moment, bike lockers where your bike is fully encased. So in this case, this actually it's interesting. Their pump is still there. I guess some of the cheap pump, they didn't want that, but they locked the frame down, but they took both the wheels, and wheels are expensive. In this case, again, the frame was locked and the wheels are gone. Here, the wheel was locked, the frame is gone. Here, both wheels are locked and the frame is gone. So we don't want your bike to be left behind like this. So when you lock your bike, you want to look for this rear triangle here is really important. So you can lock the wheel and the frame together with like a U-lock to something really secure, a nice big U in the ground. It's the best kind of thing to lock it to. For a bike rack. Now, some bike racks at a lot of schools are what we call the wheel bender racks, where you just roll the wheel in. It's really hard to lock your bike down. You can lock the front wheel, but the rest of the bike can't be locked very easily. But these kind of the big U's in the ground, this is the best kind of rack to have. If you need to lock it outside, it's the best kind to use. So you have a U-lock in the back, then you use a cable to lock to snag the front wheel so that it's hard to run off with the wheel. You might also have a seat post, which if you have a quick release seat post, then they pop the quick release and just take your seat. And some seats are very expensive. So you can bolt down the seat, or sometimes you can put a cable there also. You actually can use an old bike chain to cable down a seat so that people can't take the seat off. Well, you see that in San Francisco more. Stanford, San Francisco, high, and downtown San Jose a little bit. High bike theft areas, people run off with your bike very quickly, got to be more cautious. So lock all the parts of your bike. And then for my bike, I have a lot of stuff on my bike. It takes me forever to disconnect my lights, my tools, all the stuff I've hooked up to my bike. It's a pain. I really like rolling my bike inside as much as possible. You can also remove the front wheel if you have a quick release, just lock it up with a rear wheel and your frame. I used to do this when I was in Boston and Cambridge a lot when I was going to school there. At some Caltrain stations and some BART stations, they have bike parking areas. So you can actually park your bike inside, and they're guarded so people aren't cutting locks. So you don't need a very secure lock. But you can use those. And these are my favorite because of your own private individual space. No one but you can get in there using your bike link card, which I was showing you earlier. There's these stainless steel cages that keep your bike dry, out of the weather. And you don't have to take all the pieces off the bike. You just roll it in, lock it down, and away you go. Of course, I do like taking my bike wherever I go. So I take it on BART with me, or I take it on Caltrain, or I take it inside with me. But otherwise, bike. Okay. So at your workplace or at school, see if you can just roll your bike inside. That's the best option. But ask them if you can't find a space where you can put your bike. And the more people who bike, the more people who normalize taking their bikes with them, the more other people start doing it. So I actually bring my bike inside grocery stores on a regular basis. And now I'm seeing other people bring their bikes inside grocery stores too. And the store managers have kind of gotten used to it because it's like a shopping cart, about the same size. You roll it in, load it up, you check out and roll it out. And you don't have, it's much faster than locking your bike and having to just disconnect all the pieces. Okay, here's this little summary video. Oh yeah, that's a very happy little ending here. So Q&A, and so thank you for attending, and become a member. Go to bikesiliconvalley.org/donate, give us some money. And what kind of questions do you have? And thank you for joining us, Robert. You missed the first part. Okay. Welcome back, Imani. Robert, can you share your video?
My video was.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was just saying my video was like
Oh, your video's glitching?
cutting out, so I had to
Yeah.
turn it off.
No.
That's it. Yeah. Oh.
Okay, so questions on bike commuting. By the way, I've done some long commutes. I've done 2 business trips across the country. That's a very long commute. Seattle to Boston one time, San Francisco to Boston the second time. And that was, yeah, those are both work trips. So those are really long commutes.
I have a question. What has your experience been, or do you have any tips specifically for like using the bike car on Caltrain?
Watch where other cyclists are forming up, so you know where to be to load your bike on, because otherwise you're running for the bike car. Like, where is it going to stop? That's one tip. Let's see, you want a lighter bike so that you can make sure you can carry it on. Now, if you have a single speed bike, that's easy, but generally pretty light. But like my bike is about 50-ish pounds with the racks and everything I've got loaded on my bike. So, you know, I take some extra muscle power to lift it up, and I have to practice with it to make sure that but I can get it on and off Caltrain just fine, up and down the stairs. I'm hoping the new Caltrain cars, I think the new electric ones are going to be a level crossing, so you can actually roll it on and roll it off like Bart. I think that's the plan. Hopefully that happens, because right now it's a pain getting on Caltrain. If when you get on the train, you need to have a tag on your bike to let other people know what the destination is. And then you can see what other people's tags are, so that you can know their stop is sooner than yours, and you can have your bike deeper in the stack of bikes, so that you don't have to shuffle a lot of bikes around.
Yeah.
That way they can self-organize the bikes on the car. And then there are these have you taken your bike on Caltrain yet?
Not yet.
There are the little bungee cords on the racks to help hold your bike steady. So you'll lean your bike against it, make sure it's stable, and you can use a bungee cord to make sure it's not going to fall away from the wall. I try to stay sitting inside of my bike, because some bikes have been stolen on Caltrain, unfortunately.
Okay.
You're not supposed to lock your bike on Caltrain, because you have to your bike on and off, and locking would just take too long and get in the way of people. So I sometimes stand in the bike car with my bike. Otherwise, I look for a seat that I can watch my bike. That was one of the complaints in some of the bike cars, is that you can't be in sight of your bike. Some of them you can, it's easy. Then there's 2 levels sometimes with the bike cars, where the bike's down below and you're on top, but at least you can see what's happening, yell at someone if they're fiddling with your bike, and then get down there and stop them. Yeah, that's about, and when you know your stops, so that you can get your bike free in advance of your stops, so you're ready to roll it off quickly. Yeah. So it's nice that bikes are free on Caltrain, no extra charge, and on BART. Just have to practice. Try it on a weekend sometime where you're on time pressure, just to see what it's like, and just test out your route and see everything working before you actually do it for real.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That's the one caveat about being in Gilroy, is that the Caltrain only stops at the Gilroy station on the weekdays.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just work out with your employer. This is my test day. I may not be working time.
That's a good tip, actually. That's a good idea.
Yeah, be flexible. We do have some free BART tickets coming up, actually, not Caltrain tickets though. As part of Bike to Every Day, have you signed up for? Have you pledged to ride yet?
Not yet.
Go to bikesiliconvalley.org/P2R, or go to bikesiliconvalley.org/BTWD, and it describes what's happening with Bike to Every Day. And pledge to ride, and then you can get your bike bag, and you get eligible for prizes. We'll be doing prize drawings during May, and then Bike to Work Day itself is the 18th, and the 19th or 20th are wherever days. There's some big parties happening down in Gilroy. The Gilroy Gardens are having a very special I think they're having it again. Bike festival down at Gilroy Garden.
nice.
Yeah, so you can bike there and bike around the gardens.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. That's so fun.
Yep. There are a bunch of people down there organizing it. There's actually a lot of bike Energizer stations on Bike to Work Day. You have to look at the map and the calendar of Energizer stations, see where they're located and when they're happening. A lot of them will be on Thursday, some will be on Friday, some will be on Saturday. So you can ride by and get a free bike bag and get a bike map and get bike stickers and get refreshments and get energized and meet other people. Okay. And as far as actually, I leave my lights and computer on my bike in Caltrain, but I'm with my bike. But when I lock my bike and I'm not near it, then I've got a video camera in the front, a video camera in the back, lights in the front, lights in the back. I've got my pump, I've got my tool bag under my seat. I've got all the stuff and I've got my speaker system. So I listen to music when I'm riding. So it's a pain to have to just connect everything on my bike if I have to leave it in a dangerous spot. And Robert, what's sf2g.com? What is that? Oh, he left. Need to start to enable vid. Oh, you're back. What is sf2g.com? Is your audio working, or can you put it in the chat? I don't know what that is. Oh, Google-led Bike Commuting. Oh, cool. Any other questions? Actually, Robert, actually in the chat, where are you located and how far is your commute? We can see that show up in the chat. And Hamani's looking for a job. So hopefully find a job near you in Gilroy or work for us. It's like a Bike Coalition. Foster City to Stanford University. Okay, that's a good ride. Or you can take the train also, both ends of that too. Any other commuting questions?
I have another one. I heard that you like listening to music. I also do, but I'm also like a little, I don't know, like concerned about like, hearing traffic and like what's like best practices around that, like listening to music while you're, like riding your bike.
Okay, so you do not want both ears covered with either headphones or 2 earbuds. You could wear 1 earbud, which some people are okay with. I actually have a speaker on my bike, one of these little JBL speakers that you can clip onto a backpack. It's got pretty loud sound, so it does keep everyone around me entertained also, but that's fun. And then I can hear everything around me. And when I'm doing navigation through, like when I was going through UC Santa Barbara on my bike, I would, it'd be the speaker, my phone would be talking to my speaker, and the speaker would be blaring out the instructions, turn left, turn right, along with my music. So I'd be navigating through. Yeah, so I use a speaker system. That's just my preference. Also, my speaker system had about a 10-hour life on a single charge, versus most of the earbuds were running out after like 4, 5, 6 hours. They'd be dying after playing music for that long. So, although some of them are now getting better. And they're strapped to my bike. It's durable, it's waterproof. I don't have to worry about losing it or missing it. It's very obvious. The AirPods, if they're biking, they fly out of your ear. It's like, oh man, get run over by a car. It's gone. I did try bone conducting headset, which leaves your ears clear, but it didn't work for me. Actually, Lenny got my bone conducting headset because it made me dizzy. It actually affected my inner ear. It's just a few people that happens with. And they're more expensive also. They're a little pricey. It was like $150 for a bone conducting headset. So I'm happy with my speaker with like $70 and it goes for 10 hours. That's what I use. I have a playlist. And sometimes do podcasts, sometimes use music, sometimes listen to the radio over my phone. So Himani, what kind of bike do you have? Are you buying a bike
Right
still?
now, I just have like my bike I have like an old mountain bike from when I was a kid. So I've just been like riding that around and trying to get comfortable, just riding it around.
Yep.
Yeah.
So actually old mountain bikes that are kind of beat up are great commuter bikes because they're not attractive for most people to steal. and they got
Great.
flat tires. You don't worry about potholes, and you put racks in them. They're actually very practical bikes just for bouncing around cities.
Okay,
So,
amazing. I was like thinking of asking you this. I was like, is this a dumb question? Like, is it okay to ride a mountain bike like around? I don't know. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
Now, if
good
it's
to
a
hear.
high-end mountain bike can be again a theft magnet because they're more expensive, but a low-end mountain bike is nice and durable and rugged, and it's great for bouncing around cities with potholes like San Jose.
Amazing. Yeah, that's what I have.
Okay. Oh, and yeah, so Robert in the chat mentioned he's got aftershocks. Yeah. So a lot of bicyclists really like the aftershocks or those bone conducting headsets because their ears are clear, they can hear, they can actually take calls on them, they're waterproof, but it just I was just unlucky. It didn't work out for me. Other questions? Yeah, do if you can, if you really are serious about commuting, take our Smart Cycling Part 1 and Part 2 class. It'll recover some of what we covered, but it'll go more about how to take the lane and more details on riding longer distances. And then the Part 2 is the most important part. But you do need to take Part 1 before you take Part 2. But the Part 1 you can do if you sign up for the Part 1, there's an option to do it just totally online with an interactive. We do it on your own speed whenever you're available. Then you can take the Part 2, which is the critical part. So you can practice everything with an instructor and do it for real yourself. Makes a big difference. Okay, are we done? Any other questions? Excited? Like to see you out there. Pledge to ride. May's coming up. The weather's getting warmer. It is just so much fun to ride. And there's so many reasons, like saving the world. Minor thing. Saving the world.
Little things.
Yeah. And have fun at the same time. And save money and retire sooner.
Oh, that's true. Yes. Thank you so much, Tim. This has been very, very informative. I learned a lot, and I feel more comfortable now and confident.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me this evening. And I look forward to
Yeah.
seeing you at some future events or future classes.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to take the Part 1 and Part 2. I think I will definitely sign up like now.
Yeah, we have one coming in April. It's during work hours. If you're not employed yet, it's a good time for you.
Yeah.
The April 11th and the 19th. One of the Berryessa Bar. The other one, actually, you can take remotely or in person in Mountain View. If you make it a Mountain View, it'll be there in person. Otherwise, you can just take it over Zoom. Just make sure you have a nice video connection. Like
Yeah, today was so bad.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great night.